There comes a time, in every man's life, when he is forced to choose between love and duty, when he must trade the warmth of a home for the cold silence of responsibility. And for Captain Ibrahim Traoré, that time came far too soon. Not many people know this, but behind the military uniform, behind the steel in his voice, and behind the fearless decisions that shook the foundations of the West, there was a man quietly breaking. Not because he was weak, but because he had to be strong for everyone but himself. Before the cameras, before the speeches, before the world called him president, he was just Ibrahim, a son, a husband, a father, a man who once dreamed of simple things, a quiet dinner, a child's laughter, a moment of peace. But peace became a distant memory. When Burkina Faso was bleeding, he didn't run. When terror groups advanced, he didn't hide. He stood, he fought, and he rose. But with that rise came a silence no soldier could prepare for. We found a letter, not meant for the public, not meant for history. A letter written by Ibrahim Traoré to his wife. It was never sent. It was never spoken of. Until now. It begins with just 3 words. My dearest love. He writes, if you're reading this, it means I'm far away again. Maybe in the north. Maybe in the middle of another battle. Or maybe this is the last letter I'll ever write. I don't know. But I needed you to hear my heart, not my orders. My truth, not the speeches they play on TV. I miss you. God, I miss you. There are nights I lie awake in my tent, staring at the ceiling, wondering how many years I've lost with you. I hear the voices of young soldiers. I smell gunpowder, not your perfume. I carry a weapon heavier than my own heart. People say I am brave. They call me a hero. But only you know the nights I wept quietly into my hands. Only you know the fear that gripped me when our son had his first fever and I wasn't there to hold him. Sometimes I wonder if you still remember the man I was before this uniform hardened my soul. The boy who used to chase you through mango trees. The man who whispered poetry into your ear. I'm not sure I recognize him anymore. He pauses in the letter, then continues. Do you remember our wedding? No gold, no diamonds. Just your smile and my promise. I said I would never leave you. And yet every time I suit up, every time I climb into a truck headed toward fire, I break that promise again. Forgive me. This country needs me. But God knows, you need me too. And I've failed to be both a president and a present husband. There's a tear on the paper, a smudge in the ink. Maybe it rained. Or maybe it was something else. He writes again. Our people are suffering. Children have no schools. Women are kidnapped by cowards who call themselves fighters. I swore I would protect them. I swore I would clean this land of blood. But in doing so, I have made you suffer too. I know you cry when the phone goes silent for days. I know you look at our son and wonder if I'll ever come back home alive. I know you whisper prayers into the night, hoping I hear them across the hills. I do. I feel them. They keep me standing when my legs want to give out. And if I don't return, there's a long line. The ink trails off, then returns. If I don't return, tell our son that his father fought not for medals, not for power, but for him. For his right to grow up in a land where guns do not sing, where peace is not a dream but a birthright. Tell him I kissed his forehead every night in my mind, even when I was 200 kilometers away. Tell him that I was not afraid to die, but terrified to be forgotten by him. And you, my love, what do I tell you? What words are left for the woman who gave me everything and asked for nothing in return? You were my anchor in storms no one saw. You were my peace when I was called to war. And when history remembers me, I pray it remembers you more, because you gave this country its soldier. Then, at the bottom of the letter, 5 final words. If I fall, love again. If I fall, love again. What kind of man writes those words? What kind of strength does it take to let go of love in the name of duty? Ibrahim Traoré did not ask for this burden. He did not seek fame. He only wanted to protect what he loved. And in doing so, he sacrificed the very thing he cherished most. His silence, spoke louder than any speech, his pain deeper than any wound, and his love pure enough to shake a nation. So the next time you see him on the news, standing tall in camouflage, fists raised in defiance, remember this: behind the leader is a man who aches to go home. Behind the soldier is a husband who still keeps her photo folded in his chest pocket. Behind the revolution is a letter that was never meant to be read. But now the world knows, because sometimes the strongest leaders are the ones who cry when no one is watching. But what happens after the letter ends? What happens when the ink dries and there are no more words left to say? Does the world go quiet again? Or does it carry that silence forward as a reminder? Because this was never just a message to a wife. It was a confession to the world, plea hidden in paper, buried in the weight of duty. Ibrahim Traoré never asked for pity. He never asked for applause. What he asked for was understanding. Understanding that leadership comes at a cost far heavier than any medal. Costs time, costs love. Sometimes it costs everything. And for every man who stands at the front lines of justice, there is a woman standing in the shadows of history, holding the weight with him. She is the quiet hero, the one who waits, who believes, who prays, even when the world forgets her name. So tonight, as this message echoes through screens and souls, don't just remember the captain, the president, the soldier. Remember the man who wrote by candlelight, the man who still carries his wife's photo inside his chest pocket, the man who gave his heart to a woman and his life to a nation. Let this be more than a video. Let it be a reminder that real leadership doesn't begin with power. It begins with love. And sometimes the greatest sacrifice isn't death. It's walking away from the people you love most, so others might live to love freely. Soft choral music fades in. Screen shows a blurred image of Traoré's silhouette standing at dusk, the wind gently blowing his scarf, overlaid with the final line in bold, glowing white. If I fall, love again.